And we are on what, week 7?
Got the notification, okay.
Turn this down.
Go. Week 7. Hello and welcome to the Lost Confederacy channel. This is week 7 of the 13-week fiscal program of recovery for American prisoners of war. Today you have myself, Chief Biko, Chief Alligator, Chief Quietwater, as well as Chief Blackcoat. And as always, we focus more so on that first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. Be sure to like and subscribe. Definitely get some engagement, comment, anything that we say that you feel is inaccurate or you disagree with. Tell us, let us know, engage with us. Definitely want to get you all's engagement on that. Without further ado, I'm going to jump into this, what is this Anti-Defamation League video, just explaining again that this system is infiltrated with militia.
Defamation League's Center on Extremism is out with an in-depth analysis of a leaked Oath Keepers membership list from a year ago, which finds there were hundreds of names on it of current or former elected officials, law enforcement officers, and members of the military. The Oath Keepers are a far-right militia group, multiple members of which stormed the United States Capitol during the insurrection and then attack on January 6th. For more on this new report, CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, joins us now. Jonathan, thanks for being with us. So take us through the report that you all did, how you got your hands on the list, and what were some of the more troubling aspects of what you found?
Sure. Thank you for having me this morning, Willie. And I will tell you, this is a chilling report, the likes of which we've never released before. Last September, ADL analysts were able to get our hands on a data leak of the Oath Keepers membership rolls. There were 38,000 names that were essentially pulled from their records and put out in the open. Our analysts pulled down the information before the Oath Keepers could pull it back. We used open source techniques, including public records, social media, and other methods to review every single name that we found. And I must say, we thought the Oath Keepers were a threat when they rampaged through the Capitol on January the 6th, but we had no idea just how deep the threat truly is. We found hundreds of active law enforcement members who are part of the Oath Keepers, 10 chiefs of police, 11 sheriffs, dozens and dozens of active members of the U.S. military, some 80 individuals who were running for public office, almost 24 of whom made it through the primaries and will be up this fall. And look, you might not know all of these names. Many people might know Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers, who still, months after the terror attack at the Capitol, proudly proclaimed that she was an Oath Keeper and supported the group. But I'm talking about a county commissioner in Nevada, a town justice in New York, a firearms instructor in Pittsburgh, a pastor in North Carolina, and it goes on and on and on. These are individuals with access and influence. These are individuals with resources and training. And these are individuals who have shown us they are willing to commit acts of sedition and violence against the U.S. government.
Jonathan, are you surprised at the extent of the membership of the Oath Keepers and other far-right groups who apparently, or maybe they do know, that the underpinnings of the philosophy of these groups are rooted in race and religion? In other words, they're against anybody who isn't white. And Jewish people obviously have a target on their backs based upon their philosophies. Does this surprise you at all that their membership is so diverse in a sense?
It somewhat does. I mean, look, right-wing extremism is the spectrum. We know that, Mike. And so there are white supremacists, there are sovereign citizens, and indeed, there are these armed militia groups. We know organizations like the Proud Boys, Tario, the head of it, is Hispanic. And indeed, there is some diversity among the Oath Keepers. But I think what's more frightening is the fact that they, for a long time, have prioritized recruiting active and retired law enforcement and military. We thought, Mike, they weren't being successful. We were wrong. We have a problem with an enemy inside our own ranks who has committed, as the Oath Keepers do, to uphold a higher oath, not to have fidelity to our commander-in-chief or necessarily to the jurisdictions where they work, but to their notion of the Constitution and a holy obligation that, again, puts minorities, puts Democrats, and puts ordinary citizens in their crosshairs.
CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, thank you very much for coming on this morning.
So that's that. But yeah, I kind of want to tie what news we had last week, the 9th, regarding Grandmaster Jay, NFAC leader, creator, got sentenced to 7 years of prison. And I was just reading kind of one of the charges said for assaulting an officer. I didn't know, waving a flashlight to see who was aiming at you or looking at you was assault. But it just goes to show you, you just saw the Anti-Defamation League CEO just list off or give the numbers in regards to how many militia members are infiltrated within his government, even pointing out that, they had active members running for politician or political positions within this government. But, nothing in regards to charges being brought on these people. No sense of urgency really in regards to getting these charges levied on these people. But when it comes to somebody who fought and stood up for our group, 7 years, smack. Don't hear nothing about it. Didn't get national TV coverage. I think they might have had a 30-second video clip of the local coverage in Louisville, but that was about it. But again, just goes to show you that, these Europeans can storm their own government's capital, have nothing said about it. But yeah, when we try to defend ourselves, 7 years for that. And again, no blood was shed, nothing physical, no physical altercations, nothing of that matter. But yeah, nothing in regards to any penalty being levied on these people. So kind of just want to open up the floor with that, just to, get you guys' thoughts on that.
It's just a sad situation, of course, that again, with Grandmaster Jay being sentenced this week, it's like they had to make up charges, something to stick, I guess you could say. And that's the best that they could do. But like you said, in comparison to what happened on the 6th with, the Capitol and them storming the Capitol, that's pretty much unheard of now. They're fighting to not have to charge those people who did what they did. So it's definitely a big disparity between this. Again, another point to show.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see it for Grandmaster, but I mean, we just watched the video and they got all the names. So okay, let's move forward. We made an example out of somebody when it comes to disobeying the law or disrespecting this Constitution or whatever, however you want to look at it. Are we about to go through the same type of process with these group of people, these Oath Keepers, these militias? Are we going to do that? And they're just proving everything we see on this channel correct. When it comes to being a POW, you're seeing one black man doing 7 years for something they just literally created. If the charge is assault, I don't think a flashlight can actually hurt you. So, and we're not in bounds of war. So the fact that they're saying he pointed a weapon at someone, we're not at war right now. They created that. They definitely created that. So yeah, we're just you know, as we keep moving forward, everything we're saying on this channel is going to come to life. It's going to start to stick more, and people are gonna be like, damn, maybe we are. And yeah, that's what it is. You know, that was a militia leader. Now he's, you know, jammed up. We got these names now. We know what it was. Trump rung the bell. We know what it was. So who's in charge of, or who's going to make that decision to put the hammer down on this group of people? Or will they? They're not. Why? Because they're all, you know, one team, one band, one sound. But, you know, we're coming up on the end of the year. We're starting to see more and more things that make this channel come to life. So it's just unfortunate for Grandmaster.
Yeah, this was a hard one for me too. Just understanding history and how it was rhyming. This is the first time in my lifetime where we got a chance to see a real life version of Black Panther Party. What jumps out to me, I'm old enough to remember when your parents made you get from in front of the TV, right? The most you could do was about an hour in front of the TV, and they would say, get from in front of that thing, go outside, go play. And I'm tying that into where we are now. As long as they don't report what's happening to us, we'll forget about our own. And that's exactly what happened to Grandmaster Jay. They just didn't talk about him on the news. So they benign and neglected his scenario. And how we are so simple-minded, so forgetful, so one-track minded. We let them give this man 7 years in prison, but Breonna Taylor never got a murder trial. And that went right over our heads. Breonna never got a murder trial. And the federal government is now indicting the officers because they know the officers had premeditated an unlawful warrant to get the judge to sign off on it. But you still send the man to jail that was bringing attention
to
the dirty murder. We have nothing to say as a group of people. So the propaganda is real. The prisoner of war status that we're under is sophisticated. It's not chains and, you know, feeding you out a tin cup. You're trying to be a part of a government that was established by another group of people, and through TV, through media, they're constantly bombarding us with trauma, either by benign neglecting your issues, whether it be reparations, or when a situation like Grandmaster Jay, Breonna Taylor, pick a murder that comes up. If we don't put it in front of these niggas' faces, they're not going to react. And shout out to the Jews, because this last couple of weeks, that's also been exposed that within that European group, ones that are actually controlling your propaganda is the Jews. So now that we know that, and they run the entertainment industry, are we gonna keep watching it? I'm gonna say, yeah, we didn't learn from 2019. So that's my thoughts on it, man. We just need more pain, bro. It's unfortunate. Like, niggas love entertainment. And when you step on Kanye or Kyrie's shoes, we all in an uproar. Grandmaster Jay, most people don't even know who he is.
No, that's a great point. Great point. I kind of want to tie that into, again, just what we had talked about last week with the 1957 Civil Rights Act or bill. Again, like you stated, we're continue to try to, you know, be a part of this government that was never made for us in the first place. We read that 1957 Civil Rights Act had nothing specific, you know, identifying what we were reclassified as throughout history, whether it be Negro, colored, African American, nothing. But we know them Jim Crow laws are very specific in who couldn't eat at certain restaurants, who couldn't do certain things, yet when it came to that federal document, nothing specific. So again, just kind of tie that in into the reason why the Civil Rights Act was even supposed to be for us, was to stop these Jim Crow laws from happening in the what we know as the Creek Confederacy or the South. So I'm just going to show this little video because, again, like you said, how quickly we forget. We may look at this video and think, oh yeah, this, you know, years ago. Nah, these are like our grandparents. Basically one generation, maybe two. So not that far removed, but yet how quickly we forget. And like you said, knowing who controls the media, we'll get told this is, past history. But when it comes to their history, nah, never forget what happened during the Holocaust. Never. This same stuff was happening to our people around the same time. So just always remember that as the viewer. So as we go ahead and play this quick little video, definitely just want to keep that in the back of your mind.
Oh Lord, we've been crying so long. We must be free. They say that freedom is a constant dying. They say that freedom is a constant
Watching this stuff.
dying. They say that freedom is a constant dying. Oh Lord, we've been dying so long. We must be free.
Make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time. Alabama, the heart of Dixie, state of the heart of peace and goodwill. Now is the time to make substance a reality for all across the country.
They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. Oh Lord, we've been struggling so long. We've been crying so long. We've been dying. We must be free.
Yeah, definitely just wanted to play that. And again, we're not far removed from that march. That's 1965. So that's 57 years ago. That's like our parents, some of our parents on there, or your uncles and your aunties. So when you think about, this we aren't far removed from, this stuff happening. So we have to continue to keep that in the back of our minds as we, move forward. Like, these people didn't even want us to eat in their restaurants. So we can kind of see how that translates to today. Like you said, we aren't in handcuffs or getting fed through tin cans, but that prisoner or that you are our prisoner mentality still exists amongst their group. So I just wanted to definitely relate that. Anybody else kind of want to build off of that? Before we jump in?
Just to drill down a little bit more for the viewer, what you're looking at is an attempt to end desegregation, what we know as Jim Crow laws. So as Chief Biko just said, we just read the 1957 Civil Rights Act, and prior to that, we read the Jim Crow laws, which was an example of state military occupation. Certain states certain states within the Creek Confederacy where the Seminole War took place, those states were waging active war against us since the Seminole Wars. Our ancestors like to gloss over it and call it segregation, but really what you're seeing in this video is what happens when they tried to go down to the state capitol in Selma, Alabama. The governor deployed the police, and what you see is the police whooping our ancestors' ass. Why? You're not supposed to be in whites only area. So I just want to add that in. Of course, you got Rosa Parks going on. You got a guy named Jimmy Jackson who got killed by the police in Selma, Alabama during this time. So everything rhymes with Trayvon Martin, George Floyd. They kill one of us, the police, we get in the streets. The only difference is our grandparents, because my mom was born in 56. So this is 65. So this is not my mom. This would be my granddad and grandma. They would have been in their 30s. You feel me? That they would have been out here in Alabama. And shout out to them, because that's the only city or state that boycotted for a whole year. And so that's pretty much what we're saying on this channel as well. How much spit in your face before you just stop supporting these different groups? It's something every week with us. It's Kanye, it's Kyrie, it's a murder, but we keep spending money with these people. I'll stop right there on my bill on this.
And I just want to point out in this video, we talk about the police, and as I was watching, we've seen this before. Most of us have seen this before. I always thought it was just the police, but on this channel, we learned history rhymes, and that was the military police. MP stands for military police. So when I saw that, it's like, okay, they bring out the military when it comes to us, you know, more authority, more fierce authority. And it's just, why the military? POW, prisoner of war. It's tough pills to swallow, man, you know, so watch your ancestors go through this, and today we act like this just didn't happen. Like, you know, we're the weirdos that want to speak out and be like, yo, this is what it is. No, It's not like that no more. No, just because you're not seeing it like this no more, just because the Jews know how to control the media now and make it look more pretty, have the programming, booty shaking, all that dumb shit. This is what it is, and it sucks. I mean, even today, you know, they're still talking about fighting for the right to vote.
That's the confusion that they put in there. But just watching this, it just slaps you right in the face. And I think that's why they're pushing more and more for that critical race theory, to try to erase all of the, you know, the history, because people are, you know, we are waking up, just not as fast and in the masses as we need to, but they want to just totally wipe out this. And, you know, but this wasn't far ago, you know, like Chief Alligator said, this was our grandparents, you know, that's not far ago, far in the past. So it's like, you know, with things that are just happening every week, every month, and when are we gonna wake up? It's in our face. This is just a clear indication that, they have to bring out mighty force to keep us silent.
Correct. If I can drop one more point in there, you don't see immigrants and you don't see gays. So look what's happened in 60 years since the civil rights era. You've got two fake classes of people that have leapfrogged us. In that video, you're seeing our people get beat up. Correct. There was no immigrants. Immigrants did not come till after the civil rights movement. So you can see how they've muddied the water from my generation to y'all generation. Now they're trying to blend us all in like we're just people of color. No, there's a line. No.
Big line.
My grandparents were dealing with this. Your
Right.
people was in the Bahamas. No disrespect to your people, but we can't act like this didn't happen. The other point I would throw in is you get your Voting Rights Act after this, because this went worldwide. So
Mhm.
after Bloody Sunday is when the government was like, all right, get them niggas the right to vote.
You had to shed some blood for it though.
That's a great point you said too. Like these other classes or groups of people that reap the benefits off of our ancestors that were, you know, fighting to have Jim Crow laws, you know, destroyed pretty much. But we see again all these other groups of people reaping the benefits off of this civil, because again, they weren't being specific in who they were giving these benefits to. They was being specific in who they were targeting for the Jim Crow laws when it came to that Civil Rights Acts, in which we just read one of them in 57. They didn't specify who they were commissioning to have, you know, these studies upon this certain group. They didn't say, you know, the Negro or color. So again, that just pretty much opens Pandora's box for the LGBT, the gay community, the immigrants, all of these other groups to come in. And now we see them making forward leaps within, you know, 10, 20 years, stuff that we couldn't have done within, what, 60 years with the Civil Rights Act.
You just gotta pay more attention to the plays being played. Like Chief Alligator brought up, and like you just explained, you got gays and all these other entities leapfrogging us, and it's like, whoa. Well, it's very confusing because it's like, how are y'all getting all these benefits and the hood still like the hood? But they want us to go vote every fucking year, every other 2 years, every 4 years. But the hood's like the hood. But now the gays getting housing vouchers. Nice ass shit. We gotta worry about us. It's too many distractions. Not enough worrying about us. Everything is just like, oh, we just look, like you said, people of color, we're all one. All right. You're killing yourself doing that, man.
Facts. Without further ado, before we jump into the 1964 Act, I believe Chief Alligator, you had this week's Inventor.
Yep, I'll run through this real quick so we can get into the reading. Today's inventor is going to be M.W. Binga, B-I-N-G-A. He invented the street sprinkler apparatus, federal patent number 217843. The date, July 22nd, 1879. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. This invention was created to provide a means for directing water jets to any part of the street, gutters, sidewalk, and roadway. In addition, it provides shelter for the jet holes to prevent the apparatus from becoming inoperative on account of accidental closure of jet holes. And I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Should have it up. Let's see if it'll pull up. Okay. Come on. Just trying to give it a second so we can flow through the content, get to the meat of it. All right, it's taking a little longer, so I'm gonna stop it. I was gonna show it. Well, here we go. Can y'all see that? Make it a little bigger. So we has these rings, and these different rings you would put on this bar right here, and that would change the trajectory of the water coming out of the bar. So this is pretty much the invention that he created in 1879.
This is what the sprinkler system.
Yep, street sprinkling system. And we do not own a percentage of the income, and the family is not royalty off the royalty checks that they should be receiving from their ancestor inventing this invention.
That's a great invention for this week. Next, we'll go ahead and have Chief Black Coat with this week's Dr. Woodson quote.
I'm gonna go down to number 5. I'll read that one off.
Okay.
All right, real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to learn to begin with life as they find it and make it better. But the instruction so far given Negroes in colleges and universities have worked to the contrary. In most cases, such graduates have merely increased the number of malcontents who offer no program for changing the undesirable conditions about which they complain. One should rely upon protest only when it is supported by a constructive program.
That's simple for this week. Next, we'll have the legal definitions. 1, American, with indigenous to America. 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education, an enlightening experience. And number 7, recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength, the action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. And lastly, the maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number 5, maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. All right. Pull up this act here. We'll jump into it. All right. And y'all can see it on your screens, right? Let me pull it up over here.
Can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah. How's that? Pretty good, okay. It is here, 88th Congress of the United States of America, second session. And this is the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So I'll start here, begun and held at the city of Washington on Tuesday, on the 7th day of January, 1964. All right, so an act to enforce the constitutional right to vote, to confer jurisdiction upon the district courts of the United States to provide injunctive relief against discrimination in public accommodations, to authorize the Attorney General to institute suits to protect constitutional rights in public facilities and public education, to extend the Commission on Civil Rights to prevent discrimination in federally assisted programs, to establish a commission on equal employment opportunity, and for other purposes. So I know just off the last one we read, that was them setting up that commission. So now it looks like they're trying to, I guess, put some teeth behind what they were able to find in the 1957 Civil Rights Act, just based off of this first little paragraph here. So we go down here, be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that this act may be cited as the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title I, Voting Rights, Section 101, 2004 of the revised statutes, as amended by Section 131 of the Civil Rights Act of 1957, and as further amended by Section 601 of the Civil Rights Act of 1960, is further amended as follows. Insert 1 after A in subsection A and add at the end of subsection A the following new paragraphs. But here is what has been amended. No person acting under color of law shall, A, in determining whether any individual is qualified under state law or laws to vote in federal election, apply any standard practice, or procedure different from the standards, practices, or procedures applied under such law or laws to other individuals within the same county, parish, or similar political subdivision who have been found by state officials to be qualified to vote. So again, just right off the bat, we see that color of law. I know Chief Quietwater gave the legal definition of that last week, which was basically appearance of law, but not actually law. Sometimes can actually be against the law, which we already stated is natural law. So here again, just states that no individual shall be discriminated upon. But again, nothing specific. Who are they talking about? Because in the Jim Crow laws, they are very specific in who they were discriminating. It wasn't, you know, Jews, gays, immigrants. It said Negroes, colored, African descent. So if they were very specific in who they were discriminating against, why aren't they being very specific against who not to discriminate towards within this act? That would be my question to ask. Anybody kind of build off of that before we jump into the next amendment or amended section?
Yeah, my question is, who is civil? Because civil is getting rights.
Mhm.
Who the fuck is civil? It doesn't say Negro Rights Act. It doesn't say Colored Rights Act. It doesn't say Black Rights Act. It says civil. Who's civil? To this day, nobody can answer you that question, who is civil? But we can see how that word is played out over the last 60 years. Civil can mean gays. Civil can mean handicaps. Civil can mean immigrants. So that's the biggest mistake that was made in the 60s. The United States government has never been specific on any of its documents pertaining to us. Only treaties and special field orders, which is what we shared last week. That's the only time that they say Negro in a document. We can't find it in any other document. Freedmen's Bureau Act. Y'all help me out with the other Emancipation Proclamation. I mean, you name it. We never see Negro, Black, or colored. We only see it at the state level. So it's almost like the state hits you with the jab, and then the US government hits you with the right, because they're never going to cite who you are. And we keep trying to imply that that's us, civil. This is ours, and it's not.
Correct.
I'll stop right there.
I agree with what you said in regards to that, and how we've pointed out how they're, like you said, very specific on the state level, but not on the federal level in regards to what they choose to specify for us or not for us, basically.
Any thoughts on that, Chief Blackcoat? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, Chief Alligator posed a good question. Who is civil? And my mind is just going like, who is civil? Is it the person that abides by all of the laws? Meaning even during Jim Crow, you're accepting what I say, and then maybe I'll let you vote. So it's just like, who is civil?
Yeah, it just seems like
definition up while Chief Biko continues to read. Can somebody look up the legal definition of civil, just so we can help the viewer understand who the hell is civil?
Yeah. Last time I thought it was an adjective. It's not even a noun. So you definitely need to look that up. Because right now it's just a big escape clause for the United States government not to give any recognition to our group of people, is what it's reading like. Jump down here into B. This is the other amended portion, and it says deny the right of any individual, again, not being specific, to vote in any federal election because of an error or omission on any record or paper relating to any application, registration, or other act requisite to voting, if such error or omission is not material in determining whether such individual is qualified under state law to vote in such election, or employ any literacy test as a qualification for voting in any federal election unless such test is administered to each individual and is conducted wholly in writing and 2, a certified copy of the test and of the answers given by the individual is furnished to him within 25 days of the submission of his request, made within the period of time during which records and papers are required to be retained and preserved pursuant to Title III of the Civil Rights Act of 1960. I'll keep going here because again, nothing specific. Provided, however, that the Attorney General may enter into agreements with appropriate state or local authorities that for preparation, conduct, and maintenance of such tests in accordance with the provisions of applicable state or local law, including such special provisions as are necessary in the preparation, conduct, and maintenance of such tests for persons who are blind or otherwise physically handicapped, meet the purposes of this subparagraph and constitute compliance therewith.
There it is right there. You can see where they instituted the handicap in that paragraph. Like we were talking about, civil rights encompasses gays, white women, and handicaps. But your Jim Crow laws at the state level was specifically against us. So to bring you in the door, they're gonna open the barn door as wide as possible. Not the back door, it was strictly on us. So this is the game that they continue to play. When they're Xing us out, they're specific. When they include us, they bring us in with everybody else.
Like you said, muddy the waters. Yeah, they're in those Jim Crow laws, and we was reading them. I didn't see anything regarding handicap. Only thing I remember seeing is that, hell, if you were blind, we was gonna still make sure your ass is segregated if you was a Negro. I think that was like the only thing that even mentioned anything close to handicap. So yeah, that's definitely interesting to see here.
Did someone catch that definition before we keep going of civil? Just to reiterate it.
It says, it's used wait a minute, that's the wrong. It's used primarily as a descriptive term to denote conflicts between private individuals. Further, it says civil law, well, that says civil law. So actually the word civil, that's kind of what it is, because it goes to civil law.
What part of speech is civil?
Hold on one second.
It's an adjective.
So it's not even a noun. So again,
Oh, right,
who the
adjective.
fuck is civil? Civil can't be a person. So why are we thinking that this is our rights?
Correct.
Are y'all following me?
Civil
An
Rights
adjective,
Act.
Because
an adjective is not a noun. To be a person, you got to be a noun.
Correct.
Yeah.
On Crow laws, they were
Come on, y'all.
They were speaking on the noun, which was the Negro, the colored, African descent person. They wasn't saying civil. I mean, you just abide by, what did you say, a private individual? That sounds like a person, which is underneath this government.
Not a thing.
It's not a thing. It's imaginary. It's fictitious.
Wow.
Corporate fiction.
That's crazy.
Like you said, that's how you get these made up groups of people that can reap all the benefits off of what our grandparents was fighting for in regards to getting Jim Crow laws eliminated.
But they'll look at you like you're crazy. The only person I've heard ask that question is Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson has also stated that, who the fuck is civil? But you can't get any lawyer to really be specific and say, hey, this is the Negro. No, you can't say civil is the Negro because nowhere in that legal definition does it say that pertains to us.
Correct.
So why are we holding on to something that, number one, is an adjective? Y'all help me out. They got us in a blender. They got us in a mental blender.
Like I can see if she read, civil, a private individual, aka also known as a Negro,
related to or after,
saying nothing like that, just said private individual. So they know exactly what they're doing. It comes back to another, document we read probably in past, how they speak with that forked tongue. That way, we're gonna make it seem, we're gonna make you think this is related to you, but in actuality, we know under our law, lawfully, this is what it means. So when you come at us for these certain rights and we're not giving it to you, you voted on this, you signed off on
Right.
this act being for you. You
And
never
I'm
said
just,
it was. Yeah. So
and I'm still just reading. I'm just reading it and reading it. And yeah, it's anytime they do something anytime it's supposed to be specific to us, it includes everybody.
mhm.
So this whole Civil Rights Act was I guess the mask of, oh, we're gonna help the Negroes out, but if we help you out, we have to help everybody. Because now, if you go down a little bit inside of the etymology definition, it says, and directly from Latin syllables relating to a society pertaining public life, relating to a civic order, benefiting a citizen. So again, nothing specific. So if we got to give you something, we got to give it to everybody. And I know why, because it's our shit. So we can never give it back to just you. You got to always include every piece of everything else. If we're going to give you an inch, we got to give everybody else a mile.
And
So
doesn't
it's
that
just-
sound familiar with what anytime the reparations talk is brought up? I think Stacey Abrams said it, I know Biden said it. If we're going to talk about reparations, we got to also include the Native Americans. You already see how they're, okay.
They already getting reparations. That's
They already
BS.
get reparations. So again, anything to continue to benign and neglect us, or continue to make sure we get the last opportunity to get something, they're going to do. So with that, should I go ahead and continue? Then I'll let somebody jump into the next page. Let's see here. Number 3, for purposes of this subsection, the term vote shall have the same meaning as in subsection E of this section. The phrase literacy test includes any test of the ability to read, write, understand, or interpret any matter. Insert immediately following the period at the end of the first sentence of subsection C, the following new sentence. If in any such preceding literacy is a relevant fact, that there shall be a rebuttal presumption that any person who has not been adjudged and incompetent and who has completed the 6th grade in a public school in or a private school accredited by any state or territory, the District of Columbia, or the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, where instruction is carried on predominantly in the English language, possesses sufficient literacy, comprehension, and intelligence to vote in any federal election. Let me see. Did anybody want to pick up on this one?
Well, yeah, I picked that up, but don't skip over that, because that's powerful, because my granddaddy dropped out in the 3rd grade, but he was a business owner. He ran his own tile company. We got to remember, you're under military occupation called Jim Crow, which is called segregation.
Yeah.
We have no idea how they're running their government or their county or their state. So as you're trying to integrate us, you're not going to pass their competency tests.
Mhm.
That section you just read, I'm going to be deemed illiterate because our families weren't pushing us to be educated by them because we're segregated.
Correct. Makes
So
sense.
that's a way that they can keep us from participating in their government, because they can say, hey, read this document, boy. You see what I'm saying? And if you can't read, then okay, well, we can't let you participate. So that wasn't a bad thing, is what I'm saying. They try to make it look like we were dumb. A lot of us still had our mother's tongue at that time. We were speaking a different language. We weren't finishing high school. Matter of fact, none of my great aunts and uncles finished high school. All of them dropped out. The boys would drop out earlier. The girls would get to about 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and they dropped out. So how that's become a bad thing 2 generations later.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But when you talk to your elders, most of them didn't graduate high school.
That's funny too. They said has completed 6th grade. Like you said, just because we didn't reach your education level of 6th grade doesn't mean we were illiterate. Like you said, business owners, people still running business, still knew how to count money, still could read, But if they could say, well, you never passed sixth grade, or you never went to one of our accredited schools, so regardless of if you have 7 businesses in this town, you can't vote. So again, just another type of layer. Glad you pointed out there.
And we keep trying to fight to be a part of their system when clearly they don't want us a part of it. Anything to keep the Negro out of it, and yet we keep fighting to be a part of it.
To be a part of it. That's the weird thing to me.
Yeah.
And now today is it's very important for us to graduate and do things of that nature. But again, like Chief Alligator said, just a few generations ago, we were dropping out, starting our own business, selling watermelons, selling them fruit,
Raising
crops,
families. They had
raising
large families, you know, starting at 12, 13 years old back then.
And isn't it funny that most of the billionaires of today dropped out of school? Like when you think about these, Mark Zuckerbergs, these crazy people, they're like, yeah, I didn't finish school, but we don't look at them as it being a negative.
Right.
When we come to our people, oh, you dropped out? Yeah, but I still don't, I don't know, man. You something ain't right. You ain't legit. You know, it's like, what's that psychological barrier that we're dealing with when it comes to that too?
That's interesting you say that. I'm gonna pick up subsection C. Ice Cube, Public Enemy, they were bringing that to awareness in the early 90s. And I remember chopping it up with people I was hanging around. We started seeing the similarities between prison and high school in the 90s. If you really think about it, you was in school from like 8 to 3, 8 to 4. You know what I'm saying? So they were kind of like, we started seeing the bullshit. Like, it's almost like they're grooming you to be something. And it takes a special kind of spirit to break out of the norm, because you're gonna be looked at like you're crazy when you skip that class, or when you say, I want to do something else. But yeah, great way to tie it in. Our great grandparents and our great aunts, if you talk to them, most of them, your parents was probably the first ones to graduate high school. And then my generation was the first ones to go to college. And so then y'all generation is like second or third. So we're not that far removed from giving these Europeans so much props for their school system. We didn't give a damn about it, basically.
And grandpa and grandma was successful. Everybody's like, shit, we trying to be like grandma and grandpa. They got the land, they own their house, they all this stuff. How they do that and they ain't even go to high school? So that's a great point.
They knew how to count money.
No.
Facts.
That's about it.
They knew that part.
Because a lot of them couldn't read.
Yeah.
I had an uncle that could not write. And he would literally just sign an X anytime it came to his signature. But he had everything he wanted and didn't owe nobody.
Subsection C. Anybody else want to build on that, or y'all want me to catch it? Okay. Subsection C, add the following subsection F and designate the present subsection F as subsection G. Subsection F, when used in subsection A or C of this section, the words federal election shall mean any general, special, or primary election held solely or in part for the purpose of electing or selecting any candidate for the office of president, vice president, presidential elector, member of the Senate, or member of the House of Representatives. B, add the following subsection H. H, in any proceeding instituted by the United States in any district court of the United States under this section, in which the Attorney General requests a finding of a pattern or practice of discrimination pursuant to subsection E of this section, the Attorney General at the time he files the complaint, or any defendant in the proceeding within 20 days after service upon him of the complaint, may file with the clerk of such court a request that a court of 3 judges be convened to hear and determine the entire case. A copy of the request for a 3-judge court shall be immediately furnished by such clerk to the chief judge of the circuit, or in his absence, the presiding circuit judge of the circuit in which the case in which the case is pending. Upon receipt of the copy of such request, it shall be the duty of the chief judge of the circuit or the presiding circuit judge, as the case may be, to designate immediately 3 judges in such circuit, of whom at least one shall be a circuit judge and another of whom shall be a district judge of the court in which the proceeding was instituted, to hear and determine such case, and it shall be the duty of the judges so designated to assign the case for hearing at the earliest practicable date, to participate in the hearing and determination thereof, and to cause the case to be in every way expedited. An appeal from the final judgment of such court will lie to the Supreme Court. That whole paragraph is talking about court proceeding, but practically that shit would not have worked because you were under Jim Crow. So you could not take your ass downtown Mississippi and think that you're gonna file documents with the clerk. So that's where we have to put common sense or street smarts into what we're reading. I think the last state to act right was 1995, if I remember correctly. If somebody did a Google search, I think 1995, I think it was Mississippi was the last state to stop practicing Jim Crow. You see what I'm saying? So even though the federal government wrote this federal act, each state, that's the issue we're in. It's like we're the ball on the ping pong table. We got the state whooping our ass and being specific with their rules against us. And then we got the federal government not being specific and protecting us. So we're caught in between the federal government and the state. And that's where we are today. You couldn't take your ass downtown and do this shit in 1965.
No, that's a great point too. Like you said, being caught between each government. Because even states here, like, okay, we'll give you protection for the federal seats of office, but when it comes to your governor, your mayor, it doesn't say anything regarding that. So yeah, they're definitely going to keep those people who are wanting to keep, Jim Crow enacted. We're going to make sure we have a mayor who's going to say, fuck what the federal state, what the feds say. We're going to continue to whoop y'all ass just because we can in place. Because yeah, it's nothing up here saying, the governor or mayor of, that city or state. Only president, vice president, and senate and members of the House or Congress, pretty much.
And I'm still thinking about lack of protection. To this day, we have to have an armed protection for our group, because practically back then, if you went to the courthouse, they're gonna look at your name. What's your name, boy? What you doing down here? They can talk to you that way because they know they got a militia, they got a Ku Klux Klan, they got a police department, they got military police, and they got a military that if push come to shove, we can come wherever you at, boy. And we can come get you, your family, and we can hang y'all up. And ain't nobody from the goddamn federal government gonna come down here and do a damn thing about it, boy. And that's put the racism, put the prejudice aside, and look at the military look at the armed function of how they're able to keep us in control. They got layers of defense. We don't have any. Do y'all want to say anything on that part? How here we are 60 years later, when something happens to us, there's no layer to protect us.
No, you came straight up the middle with it. That's what it is. Perfect example, Grandmaster Jay. They know nothing's gonna happen. We just took your leader, quote unquote. Nothing happened. So straight up the middle. And again, just reading these documents, understanding that our grandparents didn't finish their education, this was just another layer of confusion for them. So one, do you even have access to these documents?
Right.
No. Then two, once you even get close to that courthouse to even try to read this, again, like you said, you flipping between the government, the state, and then federal. So it's like, hold on, where do I fall in between? Do I have these civil rights? No, I'm under Jim Crow. Wait, so it's like, again, just keeping us in that that pool of that funnel, that toilet that keep flushing you, and you're just going in circles, trying to figure out where do I fit in, and you don't fit in anywhere once you really get down to it. Again, your name's not on there. Nothing about the Negro, nothing about the American. Just words. lengthy documents.
Great point. Let me drill on what you just said. Shout out to the information age, because when I was in school or high school and below, we had library cards. We had to physically go to the library. You made a great point. There was no computers back then. We would have to physically be in Washington, D.C. in the Library of Congress library, making copies of these documents.
Right.
So
Ooh,
that
that's
was a
good
great
one.
point that
Yeah.
Black Coat made. Our ancestors could not go to the
Right.
county library and pull these records.
That's true. That is true.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You summed it up with that one. I agree with everybody, but that's true. They would have to physically go, and they wouldn't have known, where to go or where to even begin to get the information.
That's somebody that's next level. If you try to get this information, that's the steward. Like, okay, let me help my people out.
Right.
And he finally gets to this, and it's like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, and it go back to the questions you asked. Like, okay, so I was able to make it to this Library of Congress. Now I see that they're bouncing us between the state and the federal government. And 3, who the fuck is civil? Because Jim Crow laws are being specific on the Negro, but if these are really supposed to pertain to us, why doesn't it pertain to us? It's like, who is civil? So it's like, damn, we really just screwed ourselves over. So yeah, I guess the question would be like, shoot, did our leaders read this? Because like you said, having access to this was, I don't know.
And look at the people on TV right now. They just had an election, man. Our ancestors did not die for the right to vote. We're reading the documents. They died to end Jim Crow. So you see how the Jewish media pays people who look like us to tell bold-faced lies? Our people did not die for the right to vote. They died to stop Jim Crow. Voting was just thrown in there. When you read the very top of this document in closing, if you want to go back up to the very top of it, it clearly tells you it was about ending discrimination. This whole Civil Rights Act was about ending Jim Crow. It wasn't about no damn voting.
Correct.
Yeah, to enforce the constitutional right to vote, to confer jurisdiction upon the district courts of the United States to provide injunctive relief against discrimination and public accommodations. That's Jim Crow. Can't go to the restaurant, can't go to the baseball game. To authorize the Attorney General to institute suits to protect constitutional rights in public facilities. Can't go to a white bathroom. And public education. You can't go to a white school. You couldn't go to University of Alabama in 1957. And shout out to
Great point, because
Bill Russell, who died, and shout out to Bill Russell, because Kyrie Irving, all you niggas is going through what Bill Russell went through when he played for the Boston Celtics during this time. They would shit in his bed, burn his house down, piss on his door, and you niggas still up here trying to kowtow in 2022 when this man already, he's the most winning professional basketball player ever. He surpasses Michael Jordan. But y'all never talked about him when the man was living, because he was the one that said, I'm never going to kiss y'all ass after integration. I'm not going to act like y'all didn't give me y'all ass to kiss.
Right.
Now here you are, Kyrie, and all you other niggas that's in that league, you're disrespecting the pioneers before you, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars. Never got a chance to be a head coach due to discrimination. They feared that man's mind because he came in Lew Alcindor and changed his name around the time Muhammad Ali changed his name. We don't know our fucking history. I'm done. I'm done.
Now everybody in the NBA wearing the number 6 patch on their jersey. But no, back to this act to enforce the constitutional right to vote. Just that one sentence is about voting. The rest of that shit is about Jim Crow. So I like how they started it out like, oh, it's about voting. No, it's not. It's about discrimination, suits to project constitutional rights, public facilities, public education. One sentence is about voting.
Yeah.
So it's just
right here.
the games they play, man. And you won't know unless you read it.
No.
And just reading it ain't gonna help. You gotta read this shit about 4, 5, 17 times.
Reading and comprehending it.
Correct.
Facts.
Because you'll start to think, oh, I'm civil. No, you're not.
Facts. Have you brainwashed, think you do something again? You done reclassified your damn self.
You know, turned your name from black to civil.
Nah, we civil, guys. We gotta be. That's no, nah, man,
We
nah.
civil.
Shit,
Shit, that's coming next. I guarantee that's gonna be our next classification. The civil group.
Oh my God.
I'm like, damn, we just keep bouncing. Not the American, the civils.
Man, that's crazy. No, I think that's it. Let me see where we left off on. I know we finished this part here. Yeah.
Y'all got any thoughts about how they lie on TV that our ancestors died for the right to vote just coming off an election?
Yeah, I mean, they got to end that shit. I used to think that. I let that go probably a few years ago because I used to be like, man, we died to vote. And then once you realize, like, nah, them niggas didn't care for voting. They just wanted to be treated equally. You know, they just wanted to go sit down and like Muhammad Ali, he would go inside a restaurant thinking he's the champ, the USA gold medalist, and they would still tell him. So he looking like, hold on. It wasn't about voting. It was about being equal. Just, yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. Like he said in that video, they didn't say we don't serve civil. He said,
Right.
So again, being very specific.
Yeah.
So
And we push that narrative ourselves because that's what we really think as a whole is that our people died for voting. So
But that's just one
we don't
thing.
help the matter, you know.
We can't get hung. I think we're using that as an excuse now today. Like,
yeah,
we can't just get hung up on voting. Like,
Yeah.
that only comes around so often. The hood still look like the hood. They're gentrifying it right next to you. You can't afford that, but you can live in the projects.
And if it was so important, how come they only take, I wouldn't even say, I guess they take one fiscal quarter for their propaganda or for their promotion. If it's that important, wouldn't that be something that you do all year round as far as making sure you got information to let people know why you need to vote for them? If it was really important, you wouldn't cram shit in 90 days.
Put it in that window.
When you look at business proposals, people spend, okay, by the fourth quarter, we're thinking about what we need to have to reach this goal by the fourth quarter. So we're putting steps in place. If it's really that important, people, why would they just spend 3 months to really slander each other? They ain't even telling you what the fuck they gonna do. They just telling you how this nigga beat his wife, how this nigga's not Christian. They not even talking about tangible shit. They're just talking about how bad this other nigga is.
Tap dancing,
entertainment, pretty much. So if it's really that important, why do you really think they will just spend 3 months on, oh yeah, this is the person you need to vote for?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
You got two groups of people. I hate to say this, but Chief Biko, you just touched on it. And the Jewish people who run the media understand this. Those who read are the leaders, right? And then you got those that are going to watch their programming, whether it be TV or social media platforms. And so they're going to always dumb down the masses that just watch their TV. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
The real meetings are going on behind the scenes, the planning, the strategizing, looking at quarterly goals. That goes on with a small percentage of people on this land. The masses, they give you dogma, like you said, oh, such and such beat his wife. You follow me? And so we don't have our own media. That's why when they say black media, we don't have media.
Right.
Because if we had media, we wouldn't be calling ourselves slaves. You're not I'm not a descendant of a slave. Nobody on this channel is a descendant of a slave, because that means that you're a slave. If you descend from a slave, then you're
a slave.
No, we Americans. And let's stand on the edge of the coin and let's have an open conversation with Europeans. That's why you notice none of them say anything about this channel. I got a whole Confederate flag behind me. You would think somebody would say something. They won't. You know why? Because they already know, based on the literature that we do. They know they can't come over here with the bullshit. You're going to have to get in your rightful shoes and be the European. I'm the American. And we're going to have to walk through this thing to see how you tricked us.
Right.
Facts. And they know it.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah, they know
One
it.
of them commented. He said, "Nah, I descend from." I forget what he said. The man.
Oh yeah, that guy.
He commented. He knew exactly where he was from. He said, "No,
Father fought in like World War I or II or something like that.
yeah,
And back onto the whole Bowen thing, I like how Chief Pico brought up how they crammed it in a 3-month physical quarter type of deal. And it goes back to being a consumer nation. Okay, let's get niggas on the Bowen thing real quick, but we need you to get back to that bag. So when we're done with this programming, throw back the TV to the Birkin bags, throw back on the TV to Gucci, the 2 Chainz wearing the Adidas shirts after Kanye already done said, fuck them. So they just get their minds back right. Cause now you think you political in this physical quarter. Now you think you can go get some documents and try to get some whatever. No.
nah, back to the stress.
Fun physical quarter, back to regular business.
Yeah,
And then it's just like you said, it's bullshit because it should be as soon as somebody's elected, it should start immediately after. Who the fuck we getting in next? Because we didn't really like what he had going on, but he won. All right, let's start studying this next person. And then that money should start flowing for whoever we want to be in office. But again, we know who control the media. Those Jewish people. So it's like, all right, we just got to catch up. We're a little slow.